name is Nathan. I am a customer of Synchrony Bank. I've been with them since 2016. And because of my lower credit score, they decided to completely close one account I paid off and lowered my available credit on two other cards. They offer no resolution. They offer no compromise. Whatever you correspond with them, it's the same scripted response with no other option other than closing the accounts or lowering the credit limit. That's my frustration with them, is their lack of communication and their lack of compromise. I've had several credit cards with them because they give out a lot of department store or store credit cards. Discount Tire, Sam's Club, Mattress Firm were the three that I had. Paying on time, never late, paid more than the minimum amount. In fact, some cards I paid off and would just use them as emergency spending. But current economy, people are using credit cards more. So other credit cards that I carry, of course, have gotten higher balances or, maxed out, which happens. Still paying on those. But because they're maxed out, my credit report has showed a lower score. Well, the way Synchrony works is that when your score lowers, that's how they base, is what I'm finding out. That's how they base whether or not you get to keep the card or whether or not they decide to lower your available limit. And that's what they did with me. So they completely closed the Discount Tire card that I had paid off. And I have the Sam's Club card. They lowered the available credit on that. So I started out with $1,200 in credit. They lowered it down to $900, but I'd already paid off $300. So now I'm maxed out again. And they did the same with the Mattress Firm card. That started at $1,700. I had been paying it down and had gotten it down to $1,400, and they lowered the balance to $1,450. So it's like every time I pay it down, they lower the available credit line to the amount that I've paid off. So now my credit cards are still showing maxed out, which makes my credit score lower. So it's like a catch-22, and it's just like an endless cycle with them. So then I get letters, hey, your credit score is low, so we're going to close this account. Hey, your credit score is low, so we're going to, limit your amount. So it's like an endless cycle. And of course, I wrote them regarding the issue, and I get the same boilerplate, response. Hey, well, the reason we did this was because your credit score. They don't look at, how long I've been with the company. They don't look at my payment history. They don't look at my usage. All they look at is my credit score. And they base their sole decision on what they do with the account on my credit score, which makes absolutely no sense because you're not helping the customer at all, because most of their accounts, quite honestly, are for people who have credit issues, which I did when I first applied. But how can your credit approve if they keep putting you in a situation where your credit cards are shown to be maxed out? So their lack of response and the same, technical response that they give, which doesn't really take into account what they're doing, is what frustrates me more than anything, because they don't consider their customer. They're just looking at numbers. And they actually sent me correspondence, because one of the people did call after, I guess they read on your site, they read what I wrote, and they actually called me. So I called back, and they again gave me the same script of, we apologize, but we checked your credit and here's why. And again, so I had to reiterate, well, hey, I'm looking at my payment history with you. I'm looking at how long I've been a customer with you. Why is that not taken into account? And they couldn't answer. So even after that phone call, I get another letter from them basically repeating the script. Well, hey, we have to look at credit score. And I'm like, okay. So my plan at this point is just to pay them off and close the accounts myself before they do, because it's not benefiting me at all. Because at this point, I would tell anyone not to get a card with them, unless you can maintain at least a 650 credit score, which some people can do. Don't get me wrong. This is not an irresponsible issue. Some people have new issues with credit. Some of us are in the process of building. But unless you can maintain a high credit score, it's going to affect how they treat you. Now, in contrast, I have cards with Capital One. I have, my own bank cards. I have Credit One Bank. All of these other credit cards that I have, they've actually increased my limit during this time because of my payment history with the same credit score. But Synchrony has done the exact opposite. That's my whole frustrating issue. If it was just about my score, why are the other companies, why are the other banks giving me a higher limit to help me versus them closing the accounts and making my situation worse? No compromise, no middle ground, no, hey, we'll open this account again, but just give you a lower limit, nothing. It was just repeating the same thing over and over. Well, we have to check, we base our decision on your credit score. That's all they kept saying. So there was nothing else they claimed they could do. Even the person on the phone, well, I'll make notes and I'll take this back and I'll submit this report and I'll give you a response. And the response was the same thing. We based it on your credit score. I would not mind the solution if I could get it, but I don't think they're open to giving a compromise at this point. If I could keep the cards open, that'd be fine. I have a use for each card that I opened. Otherwise, I wouldn't have opened it. So if I could, I even asked them about the discount tire card that they closed. Well, hey, can you just open that card back up and give me a lower rate? Well, I'll take it to, I'll process it and submit the request and see what we can do. And nothing else was ever said about it. So I wouldn't have a problem with a compromise. I would like to stay with the company because, again, I'm trying to build my credit. But they don't seem to be doing anything other than descriptive responses that they're getting.